but I'm on.
The Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome in on this Friday edition of the Auburn Blitz Podcast. We're glad that you joined us wherever it is that you're tuning us in. Whenever you tune us in, doesn't have to be naturally right now, but it can be later in the day, at night, whenever you have a chance to take us in, and we appreciate it. Appreciate all of you out there subscribing to our channel and helping us grow. And we're glad to have Wade with us, Uncle T-Bone with us this morning live from Nashville. Faith is always bringing the sunshine right in the middle. The greatest day ever, the best day ever game that she likes. I keep saying greatest day, but it's the best day. I'll just continue to correct myself. But first things first, important. We want to thank Sensagreen for air that's cool and clean. Call on Sensagreen. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama and proud supporters of Auburn athletics and the Auburn Blitz podcast. Really, really appreciate everybody at Sensagreen. Scout Program Management, a full-service construction management firm located in Birmingham, Alabama, for all your construction needs, pre-planning all the way to the finished product. Call on Scout Program Management. They will take you through the entire process seamlessly. And then Bunkers in downtown Auburn on West Glen. Can't thank Bunkers enough. We love going to Bunkers. Great food, great atmosphere, new bar, just the whole 9 yards. Great place to watch the tournament. If you're not going to go up to Nashville like Wade, you can't take the game in live. You go to Bunkers and you see all the TVs and the atmosphere. It's going to be a great place to go hang out, but where Wade is, it's going to be a good place to hang out as well, as Wade has traveled to Nash Vegas to take in the Auburn Tigers as they try to defend their tournament championship last year, and they'll get it kicked off with Ole Miss, Wade, for the third time this year.
Yeah, heck of a game. Ole Miss in Arkansas yesterday. Sean Padula proving again to be clutch in key moments. He is going to be a problem for Auburn. He was a big-time problem for Auburn in the first matchup over in Oxford. When they returned to Auburn, he was controlled better. Auburn blew out the Rebels. This is going to be a tough game and a tough opener for the Tigers. They might as well get used to it. It's going to be tough from here on out. You know, you're one and done no matter who you go up against. So let's get up against Ole Miss and stay in the emotional buoys. The key to victory here. If Auburn can do that, I think they'll wear down the Rebels. But that's going to be a tough matchup here at 12 o'clock.
It is going to be a tough matchup at 12. Faith, you were at the first one in Oxford, and we talked about that prior going into that. And, you know, it was a big game. And if you look at how that game kind of played out, it was one at the time, and it still is, was a huge road win for Auburn to be able to go on the road and get that win 92-82 over Ole Miss. It was one of those situations where you knew it was a tough place to play. They were 23rd in the country at that time. Just talk about that, kind of recap that experience, Faith. That place was crazy. Then you went to the Kentucky game a few days later, and it was like, okay, Joe Blow's in town. That just showed you that Auburn, being ranked number one coming in, got Ole Miss's best shot that day, and they were able to score with Ole Miss that day, score 92 points.
Oh yeah, that game it was an electric atmosphere. It was so fun. And I think I said this the first, I don't know, whatever, the Monday or whatnot that we were on after. And it was one of those games where I was sitting there like this and Reese was rubbing my back. He's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And then it was him sitting there. And I was like, oh, okay. It was back and forth, back and forth. It felt like it was so close the entire game until we kind of ran away a little bit with it at the end. But yeah, Sean Padula, that night, he was hot. He was on. He was doing what he needed to do for the Rebs. And along with, Morrell, he was also out there doing what he needed to do with 17 points. And it was
But it was the Sean Padula show.
it was. There's no doubt about
20
that.
29
And
points kept them in the game.
it did. And I think I said when we were going into our second matchup with him or with them, I said, if we can shut Sean Padula down, we're going to be able to really run away with the win there. And, he scored 29 the very first game that we played against them. And then the second game, I think he scored 14. But we ended up winning by 30. So,
Right. It was a big difference.
yeah, it was a huge difference. And once we were able to really take his game away from the Rebs, we were really able to not let them do much because he was the operator of their offense.
Yeah, and Wade yesterday against Arkansas, he didn't have a very good game, but he kind of Mark Sears them like Mark Sears did us. Didn't have a very good game, but when the game was on the line, he hit the shot, and that's what he did against Arkansas. Arkansas is a depleted team. They only played 7 players, and so and then if you only play 7 and one doesn't even score in Big Z, like Big Z kind of has Z'd on out. I don't know what happened to him, or he checked out, but Padula is dangerous if the game is close. If it's on the line, you don't want him. It's kind of like old buddy Blue over there at Georgia. Like, you don't want him to have the basketball with the game on the line. He made Florida pay a few weeks ago. So those guys, they can score 29, but more than likely they're going to give you a 12 to 15 point effort. But you don't want the game to be close where they can hit a dagger shot on you.
Yeah, I mean, if he scores 12 to 15 points, Auburn goes away with this game.
Right.
Faith, you said it best. In the first game, Auburn pulls away late, wins 92-82. It was completely the Sean Padula show. The Rebels shoot 6 of 19 in that game from three-point land. And from behind the line, Auburn went for 14 of 28, 50%. But what's shocking in this game to me, and I think this is the difference between Auburn and Ole Miss right now, and the Tigers need to flex their physicality in this basketball matchup. In that first game, Auburn has 15 offensive rebounds and 26 defensive rebounds to Ole Miss's 11 and 19. Now, I'm going to pull up the second game here shortly to see, but I'm going to bet the rebound differential was massive in that second game as well. And that's what Auburn needs to do in this game. They don't need to get into a three-point shooting match with Ole Miss and Sean Padula. They need to grind on him like they did Mark Sears. Tip of the hat to him and Padula, because one of these guys can get you at the end because they keep grinding as well and just get very physical and attack the rim. I think if the Tigers do that, they're going to pull away from Ole Miss in this basketball game.
The rebounding discrepancy was big in the second one too, Wade. It was 33-20. I mean, it again. So Auburn dominated the boards. That kind of goes into something I want to talk about a little bit later on. We can get to it. But what the expectations are for this Auburn team, we'll get to that here in just a minute. We'll finish up with the comparison here, the last 2 matchups. I'll say this: it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. And look, I know the old adage, well, the better team should win and all this kind of stuff. I do think it's different circumstances. Obviously, Ole Miss played a tough game yesterday. Auburn's sitting there waiting, in the wings today for whoever it was that they were going to play. But let's just be honest about it. Auburn is clearly, without a doubt, the better team. This is not a good matchup for Ole Miss. They don't match up well inside at all. But if Auburn gets into foul trouble, if Chaney Johnson continues down this path, and he only plays 15 minutes because he racks up 4 fouls early, and Janai Broome comes out kind of sluggish like we've seen in the past, and then Dylan Cardwell's had to, if he has to stay in there and kind of play the platoon guy, then we can be vulnerable in this game. And, Ole Miss knows they've been beaten twice by us. Mm-hmm. Nobody has to tell them that. So they would love nothing more than to just go ahead and send Auburn to the house and get a big win here in the tournament and keep moving on. I think that's something to watch is what does this Auburn team come out after kind of a lackluster week. I know we played pretty good against Alabama, and they made a shot in overtime to win. But still, this is the first time all year Auburn's lost back-to-back games. So don't want to make it 3 in a row. I know it's not the end-all be-all to win the tournament, but you don't want to lose 3 games in a row here.
No, that's going to be a very, very unsettling feeling for us going into the tournament if we're losing 3 games in a row. And I think someone that's not being talked about enough after last night is Malik Dia. He scored 19 points last night, and the first matchup against Auburn, he only scored 9, and then the second he scored 11. But he's a big guy. He is.
Right.
When I watched them against Kentucky, he was hot. He was doing great. But he's also, him and Brakefield are kind of 2 of those guys that they make those stupid shots, and majority of the time they're not going in or they're not doing anything for them. But what we were saying earlier about the rebounds, that's going to be where, if they're going to be making those shots, and obviously last night Dia was making them. Every shot he was taking, it seemed he was making them. But when, those don't go in, we're going to have to get those rebounds. And if he keeps being, risky, taking all of those risky shots that I don't know if they're going to go in, we have got to run away with that.
Wait, I gotta pause here for a second. Why do I keep thinking of an episode or the movie Hangover? Are you on a roof?
I am on a rooftop.
I'm scared. Like I hear a crow flying by, and it's
That's
like
right.
I'm picturing Hangover and
I'm
a
trapped
couch
up here.
You're trapped. You can't get off. Nobody even knows where you are, but you are you're in. I just said Las Vegas. You're in Nash Vegas. You're in Nashville.
I am
right?
in Nash Vegas.
So
it's Nashville.
Right.
Little in the Inglewood area. It's a little revitalized area. Got a VRBO up here. Nice.
Nice.
Looks like a beautiful day.
It is. It has been so warm up here, and a lot of people are beginning to talk about the weather up here. I know that there's a weather event possibly happening tomorrow, and this warm weather is not helping things. But spring is sprung here in Nashville. Faith, you just said a word that I think really struck a nerve with me in unsettled. That is something that we've seen this movie before with these Auburn basketball programs, right? They get really, really hot. They kind of, like a roller coaster, take a step down and start heading down, and then they come back up. But there are always signs of unsettled when a team in a season begins to lose some games. Auburn's been able to right the ship like they did last year, get through the tournament, and then all of a sudden the wheels come completely off against Yale. But that is something that I've heard from a lot of Auburn fans, that word over the last 10 days, really a week in this 2-game losing streak. And look, losing to Alabama, there's nothing to be ashamed of in that. It was one of the best basketball games I've ever seen in that rivalry, except for the fact that Chad Baker-Mazar got tossed from the game, and it may have cost us the game like it did against Yale. The folks speaking out in Vegas, though, checking the early lines, are not unsettled. That line opened up at Auburn minus 10.5, and it's already jumped to Auburn minus 12.5.
Right.
So that is a big number for a SEC, quarterfinal game against a team that's definitely going to a tournament on a neutral court. So the boys out in Vegas aren't quite unsettled with Auburn yet. I think it's time, especially for Chad Baker-Mazara, to eliminate that word in all Auburn people's vocabulary. A big win today would do it, but it's time to change. He needs to change his narrative. And there's an opportunity to do it, because oftentimes in life, when you mess up, you don't have that chance to change the narrative. And there's still time for this. And if he can do it, we'll talk about those expectations in a minute, but they're going to be big for me. Yeah,
they're big for me as well, and I think that's a good segue. We can go ahead and and lean into that. What are the expectations for Auburn? Not just today, but the new season. This is the new season moving into postseason play, and I think it starts today. Again, it is not the end-all be-all to win this tournament, but I can tell you what the end-all be-all is, not to flop out in the NCAA tournament next week like we've done 4 out of 5 trips. And again, that becomes who you are eventually over time when you repeat that, okay? Auburn's been out of the first weekend one time, and that was the year they went to the Final Four. And I've said this 8 billion times over the last 3 or 4 days. I'm going to say it 8 billion and one. They were a shot away from losing in the first round that year. Now, New Mexico State had the ball and had a clean look in the corner for a 3 to end that game, and they missed it. If that goes in, Auburn's out in the first round that year, and we don't even talk about a Final Four or nothing. So that would be a situation where 5 times out of 5 Auburn would have been out in the first weekend. So that's how narrow a margin that really was. We did win the game. We did move on. We know what the rest of the story was on that. But the bottom line is we've taken some really good teams into March and flopped out. This is the best team that we've taken into March ever. This is the best basketball. The Final Four team was great, but go back and look at they just started hitting their stride at the right time. And I hate that the next year we didn't get a chance to see Isaac Okoro and Samir Dowdy come back, because they were really playing the best basketball maybe of anybody in the country, but COVID stole all that crap away from us. So this is the best team Auburn's taking into March. They've been number 1 for 9 weeks, and they recently just got bumped out because of what happened this past week. They lost a couple of games, got bumped down to 3. So expectations, man, if I'm Auburn's players, I'd be like, nobody ever really believed in us anyway. So let's go out and show everybody what we're about to do. But it starts today in this tournament with Ole Miss, Faith. And I'll tell you, they really need to come out and play rejuvenated basketball like we saw when they played Purdue and Ohio State and how they played in Maui. I want that Auburn team back. I want that Auburn team back that had that energy against all those really, really good teams early. And how's Auburn going to play out in this schedule? That's the team. If that team shows up, everybody better watch out.
And the thing is, too, is if the team that wants to win, that plays Auburn basketball, is going to win, it's almost like we've not cared and gotten lazy. And I know I've already said that before, but we haven't played at all this week. We should be hungry. We should be ready to go. Ole Miss, they had to play yesterday. They're going to be tired. They only played 8 people. And if we've got 10 guys that we're going to rotate through, we should be ready to attack and win and not show up lazy, looking like making sloppy passes or shooting dumb shots. We can leave that to them. They're the ones that they played yesterday. They're going to be tired, recovering, 24 hours, not even, and then going out.
I just want to see. I just want to see the mental edge. Like to me, the mental edge, to play with an edge. Like I hear you on the sloppy stuff, but I want to see that killer. Like that, I want to see some pizzazz and some fire in the guys, and some, make a shot and you fire it up and you in everybody's grill playing defense, and man, you are harassing the hell out of everybody.
That shows up that wants to win.
That's exactly right. And
that's straight up what it is. It's, do they want to win or do they not?
Well,
are they going to go attack or are they not?
If you can't get pumped up now after all this year,
gracious.
Wade, I mean, you know where I'm going with that. I mean, this is the time to shine. This is how you're remembered. Everybody's going to remember Auburn winning the regular season championship, and I'm not diminishing that. It was unbelievable. It's the best SEC ever, and Auburn won it with 2 games to spare, which is unbelievable. But unfairly, whether you like it or not, people will remember what you do in the NCAA tournament. Go ask the 30-0 Kentucky team how it worked out for them. That was probably the best Kentucky team ever but they got beat by Wisconsin in the Final Four, and everybody goes, well, we don't even talk about them anymore. You know why? Because there ain't a banner hanging up from Rupp Arena. They talk about all the teams that finished the deal. But that was the most talented Kentucky team, best team ever. They made a run all the way to the Final Four undefeated, and everybody kind of dismisses them as like, oh, okay, well, they made the Final Four. It's all right. I mean, that's how you're defined, man.
No, listen, I don't know if you were even born when this team existed, but Brett sure remembers those 84, 85 Georgetown Hoyas with Patrick Ewing and how they were so incredible. What do people remember about them? Losing to Villanova.
And lose to Villanova.
What do people remember about Tom Brady and the Patriots with Randy Moss on that team, losing to Eli Manning in the Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
You know, and listen, some of this adversity that Auburn's been through, maybe at this point it's finally going to not be, I don't want to say a crutch or an excuse or a distraction. It's going to be a rallying point.
Right.
You know, the Tigers won every game right now. The pressure keeps building and building and building. The intensity factor that you saw earlier in the year was also a team that was 100% healthy and fresh. This SEC schedule is brutal, and it should be remembered to be a regular season champion. That matters, especially to do it with 2 games left in conference play. It's very impressive. That being said, I'm with you, Brett. They get bounced today. They go out there and don't get out of that first weekend. Nobody's going to hardly remember that except a few of the purists out there that just refuse to say anything negative about their team, and I have respect for that. But I'll sure have a bad taste in my mouth about the season.
Yeah, it'll be a mess.
It would just be a massive missed opportunity. So let's hope that the Tigers this week, I don't like that lazy word, man. That's kind of scary. Let's hope they're refreshed.
Right.
Everyone's about as healthy as they can be to go into this third part of the season. You got the preseason, which is all your non-conference game, the meat of the season, which is conference play, which is, like we've all agree, is terrible, and it's hard on teams. You see,
but we won both. We won both of those.
We did. So let's go ahead and win this last third of the
season.
And if Chad Baker-Mazara, who I've been extremely hard on, a lot of Auburn people and a lot of outside people have been on, if he can rewrite the narrative, stop the chirping, stop the flopping, stop the dirty play, let's be honest, and just let the ball do the talking, I fully expect for them to be in the Final Four team and competing for a national championship.
Well, know that somebody's probably going to do something to entice you, and you can't retaliate because that's just it.
We have to say it's a compliment to his game and a compliment to his skills for people to want to do that and mess up his game and get him ejected, all that kind of stuff. That is just showing that he's a threat. And he's
and they want him out. And they want him out. And they want him out. Call him, Faith, right now. Step aside real quick. Go ahead and call CBM and tell him, look, don't get baited in. You're the guy, and they want you out for a reason because you're the X factor. So maybe if he hears it from you, Faith, he'll actually follow through. I'm gonna make you call him in a minute. All right, let's get to some comments here. Justin, glad to see you, Wade. T-Bone with a bunch of exclamation marks. Jeff said everybody's worried about the guys because they were at the game late last night. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Pulling through, Wade. Michael said Chad needs to change jerseys. Just my opinion. Hey, it's kind of like you morph into a different person, like a super.
Why does this happen?
We just lost Brett.
Yeah, I don't even know what he was talking about, morphing into a superhuman.
I think more like a villain would be something that Chad could be, like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Okay.
And listen, I have been as hard on Chad Baker-Mazara over the last week than I think I've ever been on any Auburn athlete. And I've been pulling for him since 1982. I'm old. Okay. Don't do the math, but I'll be 50 here shortly. Thank goodness I made it.
You're not old.
Hey, I feel like I'm still 18, but I'm not.
There you go. That's all that matters.
I'll say this. I've been tough on him, and a lot of people have been. People are tired of looking the other way. Rhetorical questions here, Faith, looking the other way at him if we were 12-17. You know, if you acted like he did at your job while he is on the court sometimes, would you still have a job? You know, he is an employee now at Auburn University being paid. So this criticism has been justified. That being said, as hard as I've been on him, as hard as I know Auburn people have been on him, everyone is fully willing to wipe the slate clean if he'll just walk away from trouble or not cause it and stop barking at the referees and just be that X factor that can carry Auburn to a national championship. Do you agree with that?
Oh, there's no doubt. Think about it, the very beginning of the season, he was eating popcorn off the side, and everybody's sitting there saying, we love him. He's so funny. He's such a charismatic. Is that the right word? Charismatic player that is so excited and happy and la la la. And then now it's, I don't know if I want Chad to react. I don't know
that's what's so frustrating more than anything, because I think even going into a couple of weeks into conference play, Brett, I want to get your thoughts here. It seems
I'm just glad to be back. I'm just glad
you're back, buddy.
I mean, you know, whatever.
Welcome back, Cotter. Everyone thought he'd turned the corner. He was like Mr. Popularity. And it's like in just one game, I can't quite remember when it was. It's like a light switch came back on for him in a negative way. And he kind of not only backslid, but just, here's old Chad again. I guess he hadn't turned the corner, and he had. So turn it again. There's still an opportunity. Listen, I've heard nothing but great things about the kid off the court. Just be that guy on the court with your talent.
Right. There's no doubt. I've said it so many times. He and I had class together, and we would sit in the back of Spanish class. Just he was so funny. He always had something to say, and I was just giggling the whole time because he's funny. And when he portrays that on the court,
I'm sorry, Faith. It's a bad. Like, look, Luke is on a heater right now. Like, you look like the Unabomber. Like, that's scaring the hell out of me, dude. Like if people are gonna think the Unabomber's back, and did
he ever go away?
I don't know. Kind of like me, I portaled out. I wanted to see what it was like to be in the transfer portal. I hate technology, by the way. I know it's great because it's how we operate, but damn, I mean, just all of a sudden you just go and it just kicks you out. I'm like, why? Like, why did I go away? I mean, so maybe that was a sign. Maybe I need to go away.
But I literally said, I was like, yeah, I don't know where he went, and I don't know where he was going with that. So we're just gonna.
Well, see, I mean, you can see the disgust in her face. She's like, I don't really care that he left. We'll just keep going, and we don't really need him on here right now. So I don't even remember what the hell I was saying at that point.
Transformer. I don't know.
I don't either. We were talking about the change of jersey number, and I didn't even hear what you guys said because I went in the transfer portal. But like changing into like a different persona. Like, you change a jersey, you become a different person. Maybe he does need to do that. So I don't know if y'all talked about that or.
I think he meant change a jersey, like take another team. And and I know Chad's going to have another year. And
well, that's fine. They could do that too. But I mean,
but it just sounds like some Auburn fans are a little fed up with it. I don't know if y'all have had a full opportunity to watch all the games. They've been some pretty good games up here.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about those here in just a minute. We're going to get into that. Luke said you have the best teeth on Al Gore's internet, Faith.
Thanks,
Luke. That's a pretty good compliment there. Y'all do know weird. That's not weird. Yeah. Luke's on a heater this morning. One of the things that I want to talk about going into today, and we'll get into these games here in just a second, is not about how the fans react, but how this team reacts to getting back on the floor, like Faye said, for the first time in about a week. And are they going to be rejuvenated? Are they going to show that? I think they are. I said that yesterday. I told everybody, I think, and I heard what Coach Pearl said in the press conference leading in. I know he got pressed on Chad Baker-Mazar a couple times by some guys, and he's like, look, I'm not going to tell you my conversation with my players. I'm just telling you we're good. We figured it out, whatever. And you can say whatever you want to say about that, but he's the coach. That's his team. He can handle it however he wants to handle it. I think you're going to see a different team because that's probably all he's been preaching to them this week. Is he's like, look, guys, everybody thinks you're done. You're gone. You tapped out. You know, you've done all you can do. You've hit your ceiling. They're expecting you to flop out. The media not only dropped you down, they dropped you to number 3. That's how bad they think you are. So I think you're right, Wade, in the fact that maybe this comes at a perfect time. Maybe it was a blessing that we didn't beat Alabama. And I told this story a few weeks ago about Benjamin Russell winning the state football championship in 2001. They lost Opelika the last game of the season. They had steamrolled everybody so bad and were steamrolling Opelika in that game and were up 10-0 before you could snap your fingers. They kind of let off the gas. Opelika came back and beat them, and it woke them up, and they killed everybody in the playoffs. I'm hoping that's the scenario that we'll see going into March here in these tournaments with Auburn, that it's a wake-up call.
I'm with you on that. I mean, I don't know if losing to Alabama is ever the best thing in the world for any Auburn fan, but it can sure be a spark. Listen, basketball is a lot different than football. You lose that game in football, and it's like you're possibly knocked out of the playoffs. There's a whole another season to this season now, and it starts today. We need to set the tone early and go ahead and stack up some wins in this tournament. You know, get your groove back and get right and lock down that number 1 seed also in the whole tournament. There's a huge opportunity with that now that Cooper Flagg's injured.
We'll talk about that in just a minute. Too,
I hate to say it. I think Auburn deserves to be knocked down to 3. You know, when you're number 1, you're expected to handle business. And everyone gave Auburn a big pass out at Texas A&M. Auburn's a better basketball team than A&M, a much better team. And they just kind of went out there and didn't really care and let's get it done and come back and get ready for Alabama. That's not how a champion acts. A champion embraces the competition 24/7, 365. They want to be on that court, no matter if it's A&M, Alabama, Villanova, or Alabama A&M for that matter. They want to compete. And they did against Alabama. There's no question about that. You know, everyone's going to get up for that game. Can they get up for every other game like that from here on out? You know, that's the question now. It's this mental, the fit. I think they're going to be as healthy as they've been in months starting today. I think that Baker Mazar, like Bruce Pearl, is going to keep it between the buoys emotionally. Now it's all about that intensity and championship attitude. We're going to go out there and dominate. Is Auburn going to start that today or not?
I think you said it. Auburn's going to be as healthy as they're going to get at this point. You know, everybody's banged up. You're not going to heal your ankle 100% in a week. You're not going to heal your shoulder or your back 100% in a week, but you've been able to rest and manage that. So you're going to be as good as you're going to be heading into these tournaments today. So that's a point to look at. A couple comments. Justin's asking, what do you think the crowd's going to be like this morning?
Going to be big.
I think so.
I mean, if Uncle T's in town, everybody's in town. All right.
We're still debating on where you are. Like Luke thinks you're on maybe a tarmac or something somewhere. I mean, we do hear a lot of stuff going on. Luke's actually in the airport in Philly, so he's watching us from Philly, eating just didn't even have time to get a Philly cheesesteak. Had to eat some Papa John's. So the SEC tournament has been the best conference tourney by far this year. I'm not going to say what he wrote there. That was a typo. And it really has pissed Danny Cannell off. Look, I tweeted at Danny Cannell the other day, and I know Luke's disdain for Danny Cannell, and I've kind of just ignored him over time. But Faith and I talked about this the other day. I mean, when you just come out and so blatantly biased and you hate a conference so bad that you can't have a legitimate take anymore, then just get out, man. Because what you typed the other day was so stupid and so ignorant. I mean, it it turns people off of you. And so I know he don't give a crap. I know he could care less what all of us in the SEC thinks, but it just gets to the point where you go, that guy is incapable of having an unbiased take. Period.
Which makes everything that he says
trash.
Yeah, like you just don't know if you can trust it.
He's an idiot. I said it. There's no other way to sum it up. So, all right, let's talk about you know how I am, Wade. I'm going to go ahead.
Blowtorch is back.
I'm just going to go ahead and tell you how it is, and if you're an idiot, I'm going to tell you.
What did he say? I don't know what he's talking about.
Basically, he said unequivocally, Duke's been the best team, and he said they handled business. Auburn didn't, and the machine, the media machine, has kept Duke out of first. I'm like, dude, have you watched? Can I just for 2 seconds, just bear with me a little bit? And so
here's the blowtorch.
24% of Auburn's games in conference were ranked opponents. Do you know how many were Duke? How many ranked opponents Duke played in conference? 0. None. You know how many ranked opponents they played all year? 4. And 2 of them were from the SEC. The other 2 were Kansas and Arizona. So, look, I don't want to hear anything about Duke is it's just clear as a bell. They're the number 1 team and have been all year. Take that crap somewhere else, dude. You're an idiot. You sound like an idiot. You type idiotic stuff. And people, you just add fuel to the fire of people why they don't like you. That's my take. That's my take.
I think this is the prime example
moment of the day. I hope it's been raining there because some islands on Lake Martin may have just caught on fire. Hey, Faith, let me ask you a question. Luke brings up a really good question here, or a statement. He says, if Cooper Flag is out, Duke is a legit 6th seed. Does the tourney committee, if he is out, do they like in football with FSU when Jordan Travis was injured? Do they take that into account now for seeding? I mean, it just seems like the goalpost moves constantly with these committees, and it's because year in, year out, circumstance change. I get it. The last couple of years, the SEC tournament, the media narrative has not really mattered. Now people are talking about how, well, this could get Texas or Oklahoma in if they get a run, or or if Alabama wins out, they could be a big number 1 seed. The goalposts change. What are your feelings on Cooper Flag, and if he doesn't come back, and what they do with Duke in the NCAA tournament seeding?
Well, yesterday when we were watching them with Georgia Tech, and he was out, at first we saw Georgia Tech come back a little bit, and Reese and I were watching it, and we were like, oh, well, there goes Duke. Like, Cooper Flag is out. They can't take care of business. And then they did. They ended up winning, and they ran away with that. But they are definitely not the same team at all by any means. And it's the same thing that we've been talking about is you've got the conductor. You've got the guy that is taking charge of everything. And what do you do when you do enter those clutch situations and Cooper Flag's not there to make those things happen? What do you do? Now, do I think that the seeding is going to be different? I don't think they're going to take.
It should be if he were out. He's not going to be out, but it should be.
I don't know. I don't think that the committee is going to sit there and look at that. I mean, I don't know. Truthfully, I don't know, but I don't think by any means Duke is the same team, and it would be a story of the decade if Duke went and won the whole tournament and without Cooper Flag if he was out. I don't know. But to me, I don't think it's the same team at all.
I can't get past the comments. I'm trying to not look, but the point you're making, Faith, is what Wade was talking about with football. When you lose a key player, should it punish a team for all their work going into postseason if that key player is not there. Like let's look at Auburn. If Janai Broome were to go to Auburn's clearly a number 1 seed, and I think everybody's predetermined that. But if Janai Broome were to go out and not play in this tournament coming up before Selection Sunday, is it right to go ahead and put Auburn as a number 1 seed, or is it a legit point to look at that team without that star player now? And so I think you see based on past performance. Okay. So yeah, that team earned that right, but now they're going to be playing without their best player. And should it have an effect on how a committee seeds a team? I know in football, that was taken into effect, and it was key because when that quarterback went out, Florida State was nowhere near the same team. So,
well, psychologically, half the team checked out after that as well. And then when it got to the bowl game, they just, we don't really have much of a chance. Let's just go ahead and opt out and go to the transfer portal, NFL draft or whatever. So, it can have a deleterious effect for sure. That was catastrophic for FSU. Auburn, there's a little bit of data, though, for Auburn if Janai Broome goes down because they had enough pieces to rearrange things, and Chaney Johnson really stepped up in those games when he was out. When Cooper Flagg, like Faith said, goes out, there's a little bit of stumble, but emotionally Duke rallies. But what do they do now? Right, especially this is a long-term injury because they haven't proven in the season that they can play without him and be as successful as Auburn was when Broome was out and what Chaney Johnson did. Now, this also goes back to the conversation of Chad Baker-Mazar. All hands have to be on deck right now. This is it. Get it right between the ears, because if, God forbid, there were some type of injury like that and somebody had to sit out part of a game or even multiple games, you really need all of your players to be focused at that point.
I totally agree. Put up or shut up time now. And like you said, everybody's got to be, and we had Andy Burcham on the other day, and he's like, everybody's got to be at 100% mentally and physically. You got to be ready to go, and you got to be able to play through some stuff. And you can't do bonehead things that are going to cost your team. And so we've been down that road. Hopefully, again, like both of you said, we learned our lesson from that. By the way, Malik Brown went down yesterday too for Duke. So not only did Cooper Flagg got the headline, but Malik Brown went out in the first half with a shoulder injury, and that's their Denver Jones. Okay, so I don't know how beat up this team is. That ankle was terrible. Like, if you've ever done that, and I have several times, I've torn a tendon in my ankle playing basketball. It's awful. Like, it is the God's worst pain in the world. It's like anything you can't describe. And he turned it over about as bad as you can turn one over. And, like, I had a bunch of people text me yesterday, and I'm like, look, these new shoes look great. And I know it's a color – it's a color splash all over the floor with all the different types of shoes, but they're all low tops. And guess what? When you wear low tops playing basketball, you're going to roll your ankle. It's coming. It's just a matter of when. It's not if you're going to do it. It's a matter of when. So that's something that a lot of these players that have a lot on the line, man, like Cooper Flagg does, might want to reconsider going down a few notches on style points to protect your legs and your ankles, because that thing looked bad. It looked like he broke it. So,
Faith, we all know that it's just better to look cool than be sensible, right?
I really think you're asking the wrong person, because I am so just like, I'd rather be comfortable and everything. So you're really asking the wrong person. But if you're asking about other people, I think other people really love to look cool. But I think everybody should follow my lead and be comfortable, because it helps you have the best day ever. So
6:00 tonight, numero uno Duke in the country, 29-3, takes on their old friends from North Carolina. That line opened at 7.5 and it's dropped to 6.5. Is North Carolina in, or do they need to get this one to get in?
If they beat them, they're in for sure. But I think they're on the bubble. I I think they're right there on the cusp. They've played a lot better basketball over the last 3-4 weeks. So they're trending upward. I'll say that. And without Cooper Flagg today, he ain't playing. So without Cooper Flagg, they've got a golden opportunity to win that game.
Yeah, I'll say if Duke wins this game tonight, that they've proven that they can continue on as a team that is very worthy of that number 1 ranking. That is a huge loss for them. I don't know, real quick, I know that there's not much time, but I want to, if y'all don't mind, get your thoughts on some of these other games up here in Nashville.
Yep, that's where we're going.
Luke, man, the SEC tournament up here is so incredible. I have not been to Nashville in a very long time. I did not realize Bridgestone was so close to Broadway. Had a good time at Broadway yesterday. That's why I look like I do today, Luke. No, not in the witness protection. I'm in the hydration protection business right now. That being said, there were fans early on Broadway and loud into the evening. It's really cool to see all these teams and all these fans conglomerate down there.
I'm telling you, man, it is. I love it. I've been to Nashville like 4 times in the last year, and for concerts, for football games, for the basketball tournament last year. It's just great. It's a great place. Everybody is converging on Nashville. There's a lot of locals that don't like it because people are moving there, and their small to mid city is becoming a metropolis. And and we all know that cities change. When you have an influx of people move in, it really changes kind of how things go. But Nashville is an awesome place, and Bridgestone's an awesome venue for this tournament, and it is right there in the heart of everything. Let's look at these games today. Auburn and Ole Miss get it kicked off. We just talked about that ad nauseum. After Auburn and Ole Miss get done, Texas and Tennessee, that Texas team is becoming that dark horse team right now.
They're going to be tired.
Faith, do you think that they've done enough to get in? I just don't think that. I think if the committee
she has a hard time, Wade, when you throw her when you put her on the spot. I'm defending her right here. Like she overthinks things in case people haven't noticed.
But no,
she just won't make a decision.
I think if they get a win today, the committee might certainly stamp them in. But if these committees hold true and not really take into account hot teams during conference tournaments, then I think they're going to have to keep on marching at 19-14. Good win yesterday, but that one can kind of be written off as, well, you're playing against your rival.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, that game was a very, very emotional and intense game going into 2 overtimes. I was praying that we weren't going to have to go into a third because I was getting tired for them. I was like, I would, and then going and playing a physical Tennessee team today, bless them. I
kind of like the Vols there.
Yeah, no doubt. But
Tennessee giving 9.5 and Bridgestone at 230.
Yeah, they're going to take care of business for sure. All right, Missouri and Florida. Missouri found themselves a little bit. They have been kind of tailing off, but they got the Gators. It's probably going to end their little run here in Nashville. Florida's
my pick right now to win the national championship. I just think that they have all the tools necessary. And if Auburn can't, Auburn's going to be a factor. That's without saying, and some other teams as well. But I really like what Florida's doing here. I think they blow Missouri out today.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, in Kentucky, and hey, glad to have Locked On Bama watching. I know it's Luke, but Luke is Locked On Bama, so it's kind of the same deal. But glad Locked On Bama's tuning in the Auburn Blitz. He says Texas has got to be exhausted. There's no doubt about it. Tennessee catches a break with this. There's no question. But Texas is playing pretty good. But again, this tournament's brutal when you have to play back to back to back, and especially against a defensive team like Tennessee. All right, Kentucky and Alabama. Mm-hmm. That was a hard-fought game. Oweh with another heartbreaker for Oklahoma doing it to his old team, man. He's an Oklahoma transfer. He beat them out there, and he beats them with 0.5 seconds last night to move his team into this matchup with Alabama tonight at around 8:30 p.m. I like Alabama. Kentucky got off to a hot start against Oklahoma, but kind of fizzled, and they just aren't the same Kentucky team we've been used to watching for decades. They're just not. And of course, they have a ton of fans there. They always do.
Oh, yeah.
I think Alabama takes care of business.
Yeah, the Tide opened up at a 4.5-point favorite. That has already jumped up to 7.5. Over under of 179.5. Listen, Kentucky just doesn't quite play the defense that it takes to control Alabama. And if you get into a scoring match with the Tide, an offensive shootout, they're going to get you eventually. So I like Alabama big here as well. They'll send Kentucky home. 21-10 and ranked 15th in the country. Where do you see Kentucky? Around 4 or 5?
That's kind of where I've got them. I mean, they've played a tough schedule. They got some good wins, but they are definitely not. I mean, they're just not Kentucky. You know, when I look at that Kentucky across that white uniform, it used to be like, man, there's no way we beat them, and now it's kind of like, hey, I expect to beat them now. And so they've lost a little bit of that luster here in the transfer portal era as teams have risen. And maybe they've come back to the fold a little bit. And, of course, Alabama's a better team than them. So I'm going to take that. I know Luke just said that Bama's 0-12 against Kentucky in the SEC tournament since 1983. They're gonna change that for sure. So I definitely think that will be a streak that's broken. All right, guys. Wade, we appreciate you, man. Being with us this morning. It's been a lot of fun. We appreciate everybody commenting. Before we get off, I do want to hit up a couple more of our partners here on the program. Again, we can't thank Sense of Green, Scout Program Management, and Bunkers enough for all that they do for our programming. We want to thank Sure Shot in Alexander City for all your outdoor needs. Make sure you call on Sure Shot. Go by and see them, 256-329-0080 if you want to call ahead and ask if they've got something that you're looking for. But all the new turkey hunting apparel, all the ammo ready for turkey hunting, shotguns, rifles, handguns, whatever it is that you're looking for, come up to Sure Shot and check them out. You will not be disappointed. In Oliver Ross, a full-service bartending service will handle your party from 20 people up to 20,000. They've got fully licensed and trained bartenders that will handle your party. You will be the talk of the town because of the professionalism when you hire Oliver Ross. So check them out on Instagram and Facebook, and really appreciate all of our partners here on the program. Wade, have a great time in Nashville, man. I will. Always love it being up there. And Justin said, looks like Wade's on top of the roof changing out another Sense of Green.
Well, we are. And if you need a unit, call us. It's dollar days now until the end of April. You can get up to $2,000 off a Carrier Infinity system, $1,500 off a traditional HVAC heat pump, and $1,000 off a mini split, a ductless mini split. You know, Lake Martin, in that screen porch or in that sunroom, you need that ductless mini split. So give us a call for air that's cool and clean. Faith, call Sense of Green.
T-Bone, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yep, y'all have a good one. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. And we'll close out here. As Faith and I will turn right back around here in just a minute and film another show for lunch because Auburn tips off at 12. And so we've got to put a show on, but we want to watch the game as well. So we'll have that show out there. It'll be on YouTube live. Obviously, it won't be live. It'll be recorded, but it will go live at noon. So, and also on Facebook and, of course, Charter Channel 701 statewide. If you got Charter Cable, want to tune us in there, want to split screen us and watch Auburn and the Auburn Blitz at the same time, we'll take that too. So all day, and I'll keep saying it every for the next, how long are we going to do this, Faith? For the next 20 years, 30 years?
Probably.
Whatever we want to do, right? So I'm hoping that we keep that thing rolling. And John just now tuning in, maybe. Happy Friday, or at least commenting. Glad it's Friday. Again, do want to remind everybody tomorrow does look to be pretty rough weather-wise. So we want everybody to be safe. If you're traveling to Nashville, you need to be mindful of that. This is going to encompass Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, and into Georgia tomorrow throughout the day. So I hope it's not. We all hope it's not bad, but it looks they're pretty worried about it. All the weather guys and meteorologists and everybody out there. So let's hope and pray that everybody's safe as we get a helicopter shake from Lucy in the background. So that means it's time to go. She kind of understands when it's cutting toward the end of the show. Where's Copper at? I think he left. I think he just got mad. So because we're running a little bit behind. But anyway, we appreciate everybody. And again, go out there and tell people to subscribe if they have not subscribed. If they enjoy, and if you enjoy our content, help us spread the word. All right, everybody. Noon, Auburn basketball against Ole Miss. Here we go. Here goes the postseason. Let's see how this Auburn team plays as we head into the heart of March. So have a great day, everybody. Be safe, and a big O
War Eagle.